everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. In today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to make your very own magnets. But before we get started, be sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. It's totally free to subscribe. I would love to have you as part of my crafty family. Now, what's great about making your own custom magnets is you can really do any design or style that you want to, and they're so simple. These are just printable magnet sheets, so it's very similar to doing stickers, but you'll want to do a little bit different of a cut setting for these. Now, I'm going to show you how to add your own offsets, how to remove pieces of images that maybe you don't want, as well as how to make sure that these come out so cute, so perfect with the best cut settings possible. Now, there are lots of little pitfalls that you can fall into when making a print then cut project, and we're going to talk about some of those today to make sure that these come out so easy for you, you don't have any issues. So without further ado, let's get started.
Now I'm going to show you two different styles of file to make your magnets. We're going to download these. So let me show you how to download. It's so simple. All you have to do is click this download button, and I'll link down below if you want to sign up for Creative Fabrica. Love them so much. And what we'll do is we're going to save this into our magnet folder. Now you can change the name of your folder if you want to, but you don't have to. Go ahead and click save. Now this step is insanely important. You need to do what's called extracting or unzipping. So in your folder, you're going to see a button right here that says extract all. Just click that and then click extract. Then it's going to open up your folder that will show your files. Now you want to use this folder here, which is your unzipped. So I'm going to close the other one. We're going to use these ones as well, and they're going to give you a little bit of a different version of a type of design that we can use. So I'm going to click download again, and we'll download this into that magnet folder. Go ahead and click save, and then we're going to go ahead and just extract all. Now you'll see there's tons of files in this one, and that's fine. So just click extract all and click extract. Now the nice thing is with PNGs, you're going to get these little preview areas so that you can see what your designs will look like. So it'll make it easier for you to upload them into Cricut Design Space and use the ones that you want. Here in Cricut Design Space, we're going to upload our designs. So what you're going to do is you're going to click upload. You're going to click upload image, and then you can browse for it or drag and drop your file. We'll start with our little dragons, and we'll just put all three files in, but you have to do one at a time, which is one thing that I hate about Cricut. But these files are super high quality, so it can take them a few moments to actually upload. Once you see your image, click continue. Now this is the screen where you could remove backgrounds and things, but these are quality PNG images, so they don't have a background to them. So all we have to do is click apply and continue. Now again, keeping in mind that these steps can take a few extra seconds just because these are high quality files. We want to save it as a flat graphic because that's going to be for print then cut, so we're going to click continue. Now over here, you can change the name, add any keywords, put it in a collection, whatever you want to do with it. And I'm going to click upload. Now you'll notice it says, wow, that's a large image. This may take a minute, and it is. It's a good quality image, so it is going to take it a few moments to upload. Once it uploads into our canvas, you're going to see that it's going to be really large. You'll see here that it's pretty big. I hate this stupid image thing that opens. They really want you to use their images. But what we'll do, we're going to upload the other two images for the dragons. Now that we've got the dragons, let's go ahead and upload some of those cute little stickers for the foods. Again, just upload image, and then I'm going to use the drag and drop version. Again, choose whatever one you want to use for this. So I'm going to just choose a couple different things that I see here that I want to show you how to work with. So I'm going to start with this little star first, and I'm going to go ahead and place that here. And you'll see our little star has been uploaded. Now they look a little bit blurry, but don't worry, they're not once you upload them. It's just Design Space. I'm going to go ahead and click apply and continue, choose the flat graphic, and click continue. Then again, we're just going to click upload, and it will upload it right into our canvas. Now I'll add a few of these so that we can show you some different versions of these so that you can see how we're going to work with them. Now that I've got everybody into the Design Space area here, I'm going to just go ahead and choose select all at the top. And I'm just going to size these down to just a 4-inch width. That's just going to help us see them all better, work with them better, and we'll resize them differently here in a few minutes. But I'm going to spread them out a little bit so we can see each of the designs that we have. So I've got a couple that are kind of like the little cutesy ones. And then we have these 3 dragons, which I always love these dragons. Colors are so pretty. Now, one thing that I find helps me when I'm working with doing things like offsets is I like to change the background color here on my design space. I'll usually just use the light gray, but it's really going to help you see if you've got offsets on your images or any transparent areas. So for example, in the middle of the donut, that's a transparent area. And then we have this space right here in between the dragon's wing and its head that is also a transparent area, as well as one here with this dragon's tail. Now, you can definitely leave those areas and it will cut them out. However, I don't really recommend that, especially with these dragons, because you'll see we've got like kind of sharp corners and edges here with like these little flamey pieces. And then we also have this piece over here that's kind of floating on its own. So we need to add those offsets in order to really connect everything, make sure everything's going to cut really nice and clean. So we'll start with the dragons first, and I'll start with this one. What I'm going to do is use the offset option. Now, I never want you to use the create sticker option because that really limits your cut setting abilities. It'll only allow you to use Cricut cut settings. And for these, we want to be able to use our own custom cut settings or a cut setting that Cricut has that isn't set for stickers because we're making magnets. Now you can make this pretty much as big as or as small as you want, but you want to make sure that this little purple cloud over here is going to be connected to the rest of your sticker. Now Design Space is running a little bit slow. So see, I changed the offset size, but you can see here that the offset hasn't changed yet, but the box is smaller. Just give it a few seconds and it should catch up. If it doesn't, you can always just click apply and delete that offset and try again. There's just a few different little glitches here and there that Design Space has that just irk me to no end. So I can make this also a little bit smaller too if I want. So I'm just gonna make this small enough that we see we have some holes here. And we've got quite a few. So I'm gonna leave it at that size because I wanna show you how to correct those holes. So let's say we like that offset size, but we don't want these like little holes in here. Go down to contour at the very bottom of your layers panel, and you're just going to simply click hide all contours, and that's going to give us this solid offset now so that the cloud is connected. We don't have any empty spaces that it's going to try to cut out. I prefer my offsets to be white, but you can really make them colored if you want to. If you want like a yellow or a blue or whatever you may want, you can definitely color your offsets. I just personally prefer white. Then all I simply want to do is select the design, so my dragon and my offset, and I'm going to click flatten. And I can do that for each of these designs. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to again go offset. I'll probably just keep the same size offset as long as it looks like it's covering up any holes. Then I'm going to change again to the white color. I'm going to select both items and flatten. What flatten does is it tells Cricut Design Space that this is all one piece and not to cut around anything else. So again, we're going to do the offset here, click apply, and then you see I've got this gap right here. I want to cover that in because I don't want it to cut that. So I'm just going to click hide all contours again, and now it's solid. Go ahead and change that to white, select both, and flatten. Now we're done with these dragons, so I'm just going to kind of scooch them over just so they're like out of the way because we're going to look at these ones next. Now, this little star, while absolutely adorable, isn't going to work very well the way that this is set up because all of these little stars are going to cut as separate pieces. You can absolutely add an extra offset to this, though this has an offset already, but we may not like the way that looks, and you're going to need to make it kind of chunky in order to get all of the stars to connect to the original piece. Like you can see, they're still not all connected, so I need to make it a little bit bigger. And that just might not be kind of the vibe I'm going for, but let me see what it looks like and we'll see if we want to use it or not. I don't hate it, so I'm going to go ahead and click apply, but you'll see that we do have some holes, so we'll use contour and we'll hide those contours. And I don't think that white's going to look right with this, so I'm going to click it and just see, but you can kind of see it looks kind of weird because this isn't fully white, they're offset. So what I can do is I can go to advanced and I can go over into like this yellow section, and I can see if I can make this a little bit closer to something that would look cute with this. But you could also change it fully to like blue, which would look really cute against it. So we'll just do blue on that one, just to give you an idea of how to do this. Now again, I need to select both and choose the flatten option. Now, I brought these two in because these two are ready to go. They are perfect. They are good. We don't need to do anything to them. They don't have any transparent areas. They already have offsets around them, and they're just really ready to go. You can just put them in Design Space, resize them, and print and cut them, no problem. So I'll tuck those over into this corner because now I want to talk about our donut. You'll notice that our donut has, again, two of these little stars on the sides, on either side here, that are going to be a little bit of trouble when it comes to print then cut. And then we also have the hole in the center that I don't want it to cut out. But I can do this a different way. So I can go to contour and I can get rid of these little stars just simply by clicking on them. And that eliminates those as an issue. But I don't want to add an additional offset. So how can I fill in this little donut hole? Very, very simply. All you're going to do is grab a shape. Now, I do recommend using a circle. It's just going to be the easiest shape to use, but use whatever shape you can fit into your donut. And you want to just make sure that the shape doesn't stick out anywhere from the edges of your donut. And I do this on the top first. Now, what you want to do is you're going to click on your donut, right-click it, and bring it to the front, and make sure that that entire hole is filled in. Now, you can fill it in whatever color you want. I'm going to go with white, but you could fill it in blue, purple, yellow, whatever makes you happy. You could leave it black if you wanted it to, whatever you want to do, but I'm going to do white since I think it'll match like the little outline out here under the words. Now, once I've done that, all I simply have to do is select both those pieces and again, flatten them because that tells Design Space that that's all one single piece. Now, I filled that in without having to add any kind of an offset and changing the way the outside of our design looks. Now, these are all ready to go. We've got the offsets. I've shown you a couple different options. I've shown you how to do contour. Now, if you guys have questions, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to always answer those for you best I can. Now, from here, we want to resize our stickers. These are going to be kind of big, and I don't want to make these so big that these magnets are absolutely enormous on our refrigerator. So I do want to size them down. Now, for a magnet, it's really kind of up to you what size you want to do. I'm usually like a 2.5 inch kind of gal. So I'll find whichever side is the largest and I'll change that to be the size that I want it to be. So I want it to be 2.5 inches. And I'll do that with each of my designs. So you can see on this one, my height is bigger than my width. So I changed that one to 2.5. And you'll do that for each of these. Now, again, size them how you want. You don't have to size them how I do, but I just like to find that bigger side and use that as my sizing guide. Now, with these dragons, they are pretty big, so they're going to be much smaller once we kind of get this size the way we want. So 2.5, I'm just going to change all of these. Now, we are going to be using the free print and cut template that I offer on my website. I'll link it down below for you to help us line these up so we can fit as many of these magnets on one sheet as possible. When you upload your template into Design Space, it will come out really big. Your measurements will show different than mine. So what we'll do is we're going to make this width of 7.43 inches wide, and then your sides will be the right size. They changed some stuff, so I had to update this, but don't worry, it's totally fine. You want to right click on it and send this to the back. And then from here, you'll arrange your magnets onto your sheet. Now you can resize them from here if you wish to, if you want them a little bit smaller, whatever you want to do. But the important thing to remember is to keep your designs within this section of square. You can't use these little outside edges because it will not, for whatever reason, allow us to put items there. So you need to keep everything within this inner section. So I'm just going to line these up, and you can put them pretty close together, to be honest. We are not going to have to worry too much about that, but I do like to just fit as many as I can. Now you can see these dragons, they take up a lot of space. I do love them, but they just do take up space. Now again, I'm going to add a few designs, whatever, do you. If you want to add more, you can also resize some. So if you want to make some smaller magnets, you can do that. So if I want to make like a little one that maybe I can put, I don't know, somewhere on like a file cabinet, whatever, you can definitely make some smaller ones and just fill up the space. I'm definitely a take up as much space as you can so that you're not wasting a bunch of materials. We know how much I hate wasting materials, and they're not cheap. So I do like to just kind of squish everything in here that I can. Let's make another little dragon, but we'll make him much smaller. That way he'll fit better. We can make a little dragon, and that'll show you kind of how the offsets are going to look if they're a little bit smaller. Make another one of him. And you can see I'm just kind of pushing them into these corners so that they'll fit. So once I've got everybody pretty well laid out to where I want them to be, what you'll do is you're going to hide the letter size, which is your Print Then Cut template, and hide that. Then select your entire design. You can use select all or just draw a square, and I want you to attach them. Now, the goal is to not get a red little exclamation point over here. If you get one of those, it means your designs aren't going to fit in your printable area. So if I make this like a little bit bigger, you'll see I have this, and it's going to tell me that it needs to size it back down. I'm going to click undo because I had them the right size to begin with, and they're good to go. Now, before I do anything else, especially with the way Design Space is acting, I'm going to save these, and I'm going to save them as fridge magnet and click save. That way, all the work I just did is not for nothing if it decides to have a freak out when I hit make. Once it's saved, from here, we can hit the make button, and it's going to bring up the page. It's going to kind of show us what it's going to look like when it prints. Now, I do want to point out a few things on this screen. Number one, it isn't going to print this big black square. It's also not going to print this red line. This screen really just shows you what your stickers or your designs or whatever you're making is going to look like. However, when you click the continue button is where you're going to see what it's actually going to look like when it prints, which you can see over here. And if you click on it, you're going to have these little lines kind of, you're going to have this screen that'll show you what it's going to look like. So you'll have each of your registration marks in the corner, and that's what it'll actually look like when it's printed. Now, what we do from here is we're going to click send to printer, and this is where we're going to pick out some print settings to make sure that we get this printed right. It does kind of tell you what it's going to look like and talks about the sensor marks, but from here, what we'll do is we're going to choose our inkjet printer, which I use Epson EcoTanks. Love them. We'll link them down below. For this one, I am going to leave the bleed on because we do have some stickers that have color around them. What the bleed does is it pushes out any color at the edges of your designs so that if it cuts a little bit off, you won't have like a big white line around them. Next thing we're going to do is choose System Dialog. And what that does is it's going to allow us to choose our printer settings to make sure that we get the best print. So when you click print, it's not going to send it to your printer right then. It's going to open up your printer dialog options. Then we're going to change a few settings to make sure we get a really good quality print. So from here, I have my Epson EcoTank selected. I'm going to choose preferences. Now I do always do a couple of checks. I always check to make sure my document size is the correct size. And I always check my orientation to make sure that that is also the correct direction. Now from here is where we're going to change a few settings. So this paper type right here that we have, you may want to do a test print or two to find which one works best for your magnet sheets and your printer. For me, I found that the presentation paper matte worked really, really well for it. And I want to change my quality from standard to high. I always double check that color is selected because gosh, I would hate to print out a whole page and have it mess it up. The next thing that I want to do is I go under more options and I turn off my high speed print. That's going to prevent any lines from showing up on your prints and give you a really quality print because it's going to print a lot slower. Then click OK. Make sure you have your magnet sheet loaded and click print.
Now that we've had these printed, I also want to give you kind of as much of a close-up view as I can because you'll see that we left that bleed on so that color is pushed out just a little bit from each of those stickers, and I realize they're upside down for you. But what we'll do is we're going to load these on to our mat. I'm just using a standard grip mat, which should work just fine. And then I'm using the printable magnet sheet option for my cut setting. You want to make sure those are held on really well. Go ahead and load these in. You want to make sure that that arrow is loading into your machine at the left side. Load this in and it'll read our marks, and then it's going to cut around all of our little magnets. Now that took a long time to cut, and some of that was because these are not like the best quality files. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make sure it cut through, which it looks like it cut beautifully. So we'll go ahead and unload. And then you can peel your backing piece off. We're not gonna save that. But when you take your magnets off, I want you to do it just like you do if you're doing cardstock. So I want you to kind of roll your mat back, and then I want you to gently peel off your magnets. And then they should come off pretty easily from the mat. And they look like they cut so good. They're so darn cute. Now I'm gonna go put these on my fridge and show you what they look like up close.
What do you think? Are you going to try making some magnets? What I love about these is you can do any designs, any styles, whatever you want to do. Now, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll link everything I used to create these in the video's description as well for you so that you can make your own fun magnets. I hope that you all picked up some fun tips and tricks to working with Print Then Cut today. Let me know what you learned today in those comments. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.